so you joined New Blood like while you were working on Dusk, right? So before you finished it, what's it been like working with New Blood ever since then? And has it offered up any kind of freedom or camaraderie with all the crew and everybody? And
definitely
anything?
camaraderie. Dusk. Yep. It's interesting because like New Blood kind of didn't exist. I mean, New Blood very much didn't exist in its current form when when I became part of it. And it actually kind of got built on Dusk, as Dusk was also being built on New Blood. They were kind of both built at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of like guys who are part of New Blood who like were originally just Dusk fans.
Right.
So it was, they were kind of built both at once, and the culture and everything and the camaraderie and everything of New Blood were kind of built at the same time. And after Dusk, like the experience changed a lot, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Because Dusk was, like I said, up to release, it was almost entirely a solo developed game. Of course, with the with an asterisk there, because Andrew did music, Dave was co-designer and everything. And then a little later on in development, people who were started the beginnings of what would become the giant Discord server of New Blood that that we have now. They were helping out with the multiplayer and everything, so it was a very scrappy situation. It was very much the like it's just a couple of guys working on a thing.
Through traditional rag to riches story.
Yeah, and then very rapidly, after Dusk was done, with really even I'd say just within the last few years, New Blood grew immensely, and it went from, within just the time frame of a couple of years, it went from being basically indie. I mean, there's still an indie developer, but it essentially development now is like a more like a AA studio sort of situation. The culture's still there.
Yeah.
It's still very much the same sort of culture, but it's a much bigger undertaking now.
Imagine.
And you went from like Dusk and eventually like Ultra Kill, and now it's the Fallen Aces and Gloomwood and like bigger and better projects, I feel like.
Yeah, and honestly, like I had nothing to do with Ultra Kill or Fallen Aces or Faith. Well, I kind of had a little to do with Faith. Things like that. It's like there are a lot of different teams now working on things, as opposed to back in the day where it's like I would do some stuff and then send it to Dave or whatever.
Yeah, cool.
Right. So having this kind of collaborative thing, has it allowed you to have that freedom to do things like chop goblins and stuff like that? A lot more easily?
Well, I tend to be a little... Now, I don't want the connotations of this are the image... When I say lone wolf, brings up this image of like the rugged Sigma mailed going it alone type. When I say I'm a little bit of a lone wolf, that's not what I mean. I mean more like I'm a weird like basement dweller. Sort of more the vibe you should.
You're telling me you're not going John Rambo and going on your own there?
No. I'm using that comment for the promo for this episode.
Okay. So I started making games when I was relatively young and have gotten very used to like doing things a certain way. And I found that it's difficult for me to kind of do my stuff that's like very much my pet projects. It's difficult for me to do that as a sort of auteur delegating stuff. Just creatively, I find it really difficult. So, what I found over the few years after Dusk was that I needed like my own stuff to work on, if that makes sense. Like I love
so stuff like Chop Goblins, Butcher's Creek, Squirrel Stapler, all that kind of stuff is kind of like just like a breath of fresh air kind of thing for you, something to freshen up the palate while you're working on other things. That kind of stuff. Yeah.
And yeah, basically. So I think there's definitely a lot that's hard to quantify in terms of how useful it is to have like just the insane collection of talent and experience that is at New Blood, and have that available to bounce ideas off of, or just to learn stuff from. So in that way, like, that's hard to quantify. But for the most part, when I'm working on something that's just a David Szymanski game, it's kind of basically the same as it was back in 2015. I don't end up using a lot of extra resources.
Yeah.